When you want to synchronize your on-premises Active Directory with the cloud for Office 365, you're going to need to make sure that all of your objects in your on-premises AD are actually ready. Oftentimes, we wind up having a lot of users that may have similar issues with their AD attributes that need to be updated before synchronization. Now we need to do some bulk updating when that occurs. You may use Active Directory users and computers if you want to. You can multi-select a bunch of users, right-click Properties, and go and change some things. You can go use the Active Directory Administrative Center, where you could do a global search based on the INET user object, and then do some bulk update that way. But a better tool that you might want to consider using is Amodify.net. Amodify.net is a free tool that you can actually download from Codeplex. If you go into Codeplex here, and you actually go to admodify.codeplex.com, you can see you have the ability to download the latest build. Once you download it, simply extract it out to your system, and you can then start running admodify.net. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I've already taken the liberty of downloading it. Got admodify.net here, and I'm just going to go ahead and run it. Now we have to get through the UAC there. And notice I have some different options here. I can modify attributes, I can undo changes, and I can import mailbox rights. Really, all I'm worried about right now for our Active Directory environment is modifying some attributes, right? So let's go ahead and click on the Modify Attributes section. The first thing we have to do is let admodify.net know what domain we want to work with and which objects we're trying to change. So to do that, I'm going to go in here and click on my ArrowMar DC, and we'll use this current domain controller as the domain controller that we want to actually work with. So we'll go in here and import that information. Within ArrowMar, I'm going to say, you know what, I'm having an issue in my accounts environment. As we saw in another video when we looked at ID Fix, all of my users seem to have a UPN that ends in arrowmar.local. In order to synchronize, I need them to have that cloud routable UPN. So we want to change that to arrowmar.com. So I'm going to select this OU that has those users in it. I'm going to say, let's add those users to my list. Right? Then I want to select all of my users here that I want to make some changes to. Now that I've selected all of the users, I'll go on to the next screen. Let that come up. And what you'll see, here are all the different properties that we can actually do bulk updates on. In our case, we want to change the account. We want to change that UPN. So I'll go over to the Account tab. I'm going to say, all right, well, I want to update the UPN. Well, in order to reset the end part of their UPN, I want the UPN to start with their current SAM account name, right? So I'm simply going to click up here where it says Legacy Account, and it'll actually put in the variable for their SAM account name. So it's got their SAM account name in there, and then I'm going to say, but the UPN I want to start using now for all these users is arrowmar.com instead of arrowmar.local. And just like that, I can say go. And it just successfully updated 8 of those. One of them already was changed in the ID Fix. We actually repaired one of those in that other video. But the rest of them were updated and ready to go. So we're in good shape. Everything's been changed. And we can now start thinking about our directory synchronization. Now, one of the things you may have noticed when I went through it with admodify.net and launched it is we had the ability to undo changes. And this is really where admodify.net comes into play compared to some of those other tools. When you go through the process of using admodify.net, it actually is creating an XML file. And that XML file is tracking all of the changes that are made, which means if I needed to for some reason, I could choose to undo my changes here. Right? I could actually browse out to the admodify.net folder where I have the XML file that I worked with, and I could pull that in and actually undo those changes if I wanted to, reverse them in one fell swoop, something that you couldn't necessarily do with the other tools. And this sort of safety net, I think, is one of the reasons that using admodify.net for bulk updates is an ideal solution.